Once upon a time, the empire was locked in a merciless war against the Witch King, who was the high priest of the father of all monsters. The empire was victorious, but at the cost of its unity and, in the end, its very existence. After an era of imperial peace, the land was plunged into a dark age, filled with fragmented domains, ceaseless quarrels, malevolent religions, ruin, and sorrow. However, there was one imperial tradition that did not disappear. From within their fortresses and strongholds, the Rangers tirelessly pursue their mission of watching over the inhabitants of the former empire, explore the wilderness, unite communities, fight monsters, and recover the Emperor's treasures so that one day, hope may be born anew. Now it's your turn to join the ranks of these brave Rangers.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me at the Solo Gamers Club. Tonight, we'll take a look at a new title from the award-winning board game designer Antoine Bauza called Oltree. Oltree is a cooperative game for 2 to 4 players, but it lends itself exceptionally well to solitaire play. In the game, the player takes on the role of a brave and honorable ranger who has been tasked with protecting the inhabitants of a satrapy and rebuilding its fortress that has fallen into disrepair. The game board depicts the ruined fortress and the 8 regions that surround it, each with varying landscapes, natural resources, and dangers. When a random region must be determined, it is selected by a roll of a d8. Region 1 is called Crossberg. Each week, hundreds of vendors and shoppers from across the region come to buy and sell produce, livestock, minerals, furs, herbs, coal, oil, and jewelry. In this space, the Rangers may exchange any resource for another on a one-to-one basis. Region 2 lies in the northeast corner of the satrapy, and it features a community named Firehill. The tradespeople of this region specialize in the production of coal and firewood, along with the refinement of oil, minerals, and the manufacture of candles. The heroes may acquire a fire resource at this location. Established on the edge of a dense forest, Region 3 is the home to the largest lumber mills in the land. The region also hosts a pool of talented craftsmen who specialize in carpentry, woodworking, and cabinet making. They have named their community Cedar Creek. The 4th region is named Fort Eusebius, and it has a long-standing tradition of recruiting and training the most competent and courageous soldiers in the land. This location allows the Rangers to increase their defense of the fortress by 1. Region 5 is named Ashlia Elevars, and its lands are full of lush and fertile pastures. The people of the region have a tradition of raising the finest livestock in the land, with which their tanneries supply the entire satrapy with select leather products, pelts, and furs. The Rangers may acquire a fur resource at this location. Region 6 is called Amenity, and it is home to several hot springs that are known to have healing properties. In addition, the volcanic soils of the region are ideal for the growth of exotic herbs, and this has led to the establishment of several herbalist and apothecary shops. These realities have enticed the satrapy's finest healers to relocate to the region. Rangers may fully heal in this location. Region 7 is called Bookdale, and it is situated in the middle of a protected valley. Its inhabitants have prospered in a place of relative peace, and this has allowed them to devote the majority of their time to learning and education. This region allows the Rangers to hire quality administrators, which raises the prestige of the fortress by 1. Finally, Region 8 is named Stoneblow. It is located on the foothills of the Dragon's Back Mountains, and its people are expert miners. The miners of this region have dug hundreds of mines that allow them access to all kinds of gems, ores, and minerals. The location provides the Rangers with 1 stone resource. The fortress itself occupies the central part of the board, and it features a prestige track and a defense track. In the center of the fortress is a storeroom, and that's where all the resources will be placed. Around the edges are 12 construction locations where buildings can be built, and then at the corners there's 4 spaces for towers to be constructed. The fortress provides each ranger with 1 permanent profession die for each of the 4 professions: craftsman, scholar, soldier, and traveler. And those are listed inside of the central area, the storeroom. The prestige track is a measure of how well the rangers have performed their duties in the region, while the defense track represents the quality of the fortress's fortifications and the skills of its garrison to defend it from invaders. The storeroom is where all the resources that are gathered by the rangers are collected and stored. The construction spaces allow the rangers to erect a variety of buildings that will benefit the entire satrapy. A watchtower provides security for the 2 regions that it adjoins. If the rangers have cleared a region of incidents and constructed a tower to oversee it, the region is said to be secured. A secured region will be denoted with a green shield. At the start of the game, 3 incident cards have been placed in each of the 8 regions. Incidents are brief adventures that the rangers may undertake. The back of the card is the rumor side. Its title and image will provide the player with a clue about the details contained on the front of the card. As soon as a region collects 4 incident cards, it immediately becomes perilous, and it is marked with a red shield. Allowing too many regions to become perilous can over time affect the ranger's prestige levels. So those should be dealt with in a timely fashion if possible. As soon as the number of cards in an area is less than 4, the location's perilous marker is removed. Sometimes problems arise in a region, and those will end up affecting the ranger's ability to use the location's services. As long as a problem persists, the ability to call on the community is removed from that location. Another obstacle for the rangers are events. Events come in 2 types, either one-time events or persistent events. The effect of one-time events is applied immediately, while persistent events remain until a new event replaces its effects. Every ranger board contains the following information: the ranger's name and portrait, their meeple color, their profession and their profession die bonus, their unique special ability, health track, and their fatigue threshold. A ranger's health track begins at the top slot of the track and is moved down as the ranger becomes wounded or fatigued. While a ranger's wounds are equal to or less than their fatigue threshold, they may no longer use their special ability. Each ranger begins the game with a provision token, and each ranger may carry a maximum of 3. Provisions may be acquired by conducting a rest action. Provisions may be spent to re-roll profession dice or to perform a bonus action. The building tiles begin the game on their construction side and are placed near the side of the board. As an action, a ranger may pay the listed cost in resources to place the building tile in the construction area of the fortress on its built side. Buildings provide benefits to the rangers in additional profession dice or bonuses to either defense or to prestige. To win the game, the rangers must complete the last chapter of the chronicle. However, the rangers can lose the game in several ways. First method is to allow the prestige track to reach 0. Another would be to allow the defense track to reach 0. And the last method would be to fail the final chapter of the chronicle. And now let's take a look at the Ranger's assignment card.
After a recent promotion within the Ranger Corps, you receive your very first assignment: to restore an old fortress in a satrapy with a reputation for being calm to its former glory. You will also need to build relationships with the neighboring communities and check the safety of the communication routes.
It's important to note that the Rangers are not required to complete their assignments. However, they will greatly impact their ability to complete the chronicle. And now let's take a look at the first chapter of our chronicle. It's titled Open Doors.
At the gates, you set up camp within the crumbling walls of a once dazzling fortress. The observatory, a massive building, has somehow withstood the ravages of time and still contains several shelves of astronomical treatises, as well as a number of esoteric works.
And the first chapter of the Chronicle states that we can place the observatory building on the game board, built site up for free. Place it in an empty construction space inside the fortress. Okay. All right, so we've placed the observatory in one of our construction spaces, and that gives us a bonus. We get a bonus to our prestige level. So we're going to move our prestige up from its starting point at 3 up to 4. Then that also gives us an extra die when we're testing a scholar profession test. Now, as we're playing a 2-player game, there is additional setup for a 2-player game, and the game allows us to start with 2 extra buildings in addition to that one that we've got with the Chronicle. We can select from the barracks, the library, the tavern, or a workshop. Now, in the original rule book, they made a mistake on this. They listed it as barracks, library, tavern, or inn. But subsequently, the designer issued a errata that said that he did not intend that to be so for the 2- and 3-player game setup. He wanted it to be barracks, library, tavern, and workshop. Now, in selecting these 2 additional buildings, we'll take a look at our 2 Rangers. Now, Selena is a scholar, so we're getting a bonus die for her in the scholar. Ernest is a traveler, so we've got a bonus die for him in the traveler ability. So I think what we'll do is we'll probably pick the 2 buildings that don't give us benefits to either scholar or traveler. So that would mean we're going to select the wood shop and the barracks. So we've placed the workshop and the barracks, and those give us those extra bonus profession dies when we're performing a test. And we're actually ready to begin the game. We're going to begin with Selena, and she's going to start her turn by determining the adversity. We're going to roll the adversity die and then see what the effect of that is, and then she's going to take her 2 different actions that she's allowed to perform. The possible results of the adversity die would be 1 arrow, and that would move the adversity marker 1 space. Another possibility is 2 arrows, and that moves the adversity marker 2 spaces. And a third possibility is no movement. That's listed with a dot, and then that marker would just remain in place. Now, there's a few special instances on the adversity marker, and one of them is that the marker cannot stay in the same space if it is in the chronicle space. It has to move 1 space. So if we were in this space and we rolled a no movement, we would still move the marker 1 space. The other possibility is that we can't skip over the chronicle space. So say if we were in this position and we rolled 2, we don't move past the chronicle space. The marker would stop at that space and we would resolve the chronicle action. All right, so Selena is going to start with the determining the adversity, and here's her roll. She rolled a 2, so that marker will move 2 spaces. And then we're going to resolve the top card on the problem deck. So now we're going to roll the D8 to find out, the location die, to find out where that problem will emerge. It's going to be in Zone 2. So we'll place that problem card in Zone 2. And the problem card is entitled Raw Materials. It reads, there are no quarries or mines in the area. This means that construction work is slow going. And the symbol at the bottom of the card says that if we spend 1 stone, we can solve that problem. As it stands now, the card is covering that space, and you'll see an icon there, fire with a slash through it. That means that we would normally be able to acquire fire tokens, resources, at that location. But because that problem is there, until we solve that, no more fire resources for the Rangers. And now Selena is able to perform 2 separate actions. And I think her first action is going to be to travel to Zone 8, where she's able to pick up one of those stone resources, and then eventually she would be able to use that to solve that problem. So we're going to have her move to Zone 8, and then as a separate action, she's going to call on the community, and that gains the benefit of the region where the ranger is located. So that will give her 1 stone resource. And we place that resource in the storage area, and it's available for any of the rangers to use. That would conclude Selena's turn, and we'll move on to Ernest's turn. Now, he has to do the same thing. We start out with determining adversity. So he's going to make a roll on with the adversity die. Here's his roll, and he ended up with 2 movement. So in this case, we're going to move 1, 2, and that is going to set off a chronicle, the next chapter of the chronicle. So that means we turn to the next chapter and we read what happens. And it's titled A Mysterious Portal. A few days after you settle in, a guard awakens you in the middle of the night. In the middle of the courtyard, a mysterious portal glows with pulsing intensity. A curious volunteer jumped through the portal, and he emerged a few minutes later with a wide grin and his arms loaded with riches. All right, we place the portal tile in an empty construction space in the fortress. All right, so we're going to place that portal, put it right there. And we'll go back to the chronicle. And the chronicle reads, some of your more daring elements go through the portal and come back loaded with food. Gain 3 resources of your choice. Well, that's great. Well, we know that one of our assignments is to eventually build the forge. So if we look at the forge token, we need a fur and a fire in order to accomplish that. So I think we're going to, out of those 3 resources that we're able to acquire, I think we'll definitely take a fur and a fire. So we're going to acquire, I think, a plant, a fire, and a fur. And now it's Ernest's turn. Now he has a special ability. It says when Ernest resolves a problem, he gets a bonus action, call on the community of the region where the problem has been solved. So I think what he's going to do is we're going to have Ernest travel to that area where the problem is. And he's going to spend 1 stone, which will complete that problem, And then he's going to be able to access the call in the community where he's going to gain a fire. So I think that's a good move for him. So we'll add a fire resource to the supply. Since one of our assignments is to solve 3 problems, we're going to place that problem card that we just solved underneath the card, and that will help us to track how many of those that we have solved towards that assignment. Next up is Selena. She'll begin with her adversity die roll. Here's the roll. And that's a 1 movement. So we're going to move that marker 1 space. And that means an incident card is going to be placed on the board. First part of this is we would check to see if there are any spaces that are in a perilous condition. And if there were, we would lose 1 prestige for each of those. There are none on the board yet. So now we're going to roll the location die and find out where that card will be placed. Here's the roll. And it's in 2, so we're going to put that in zone 2. So we're going to place that card face down in zone 2, and that's entitled a happy event. But that's going to send that province into a perilous condition, so we're going to place a peril marker on there. Now as soon as that number of cards in that stack go down less than 4, the peril marker is removed. And now Selena can take her 2 actions. She's currently in region 8. Now she's only able to perform 1 action of the same kind in a turn. So if she took a move action, she could either move to zone 7 or zone 1 or back to the fortress. So instead of doing that, I think I'm going to leave her in the location, and she's going to start with a call in the community. And that will allow her to gain a stone. So we'll add a stone to our storehouse. And her second action is going to be experience an incident. So we're going to take the top card from that location, and then we can look at what it says on the card. It says entrance to a mine. Okay. Now I'm covering up the lower portion of the card that would tell us what the effect of this adventure would be, so that neither the viewers or myself can know what that will be. We read the card. It says entrance to a mine. Once your torch is lit, you enter the mine. The air is damp and you carefully make your way into the bowels of the earth. Okay, that's going to require us to do a craftsperson test. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll check Selena's card, and her benefit is for a scholar test, so she won't get any additional dice from that. Then we check inside the fortress and we add up all of the symbols that would give us that craftsperson advantage. We have the workshop, which gives us 1, and we have 1 inherent in the fortress itself. So she's going to be able to roll 2 dice for this test. And this is known as a profession test. And we use these large, kind of chunky dice, and they have 3 different results on them. There is a failure, there is a success, and then there is a success if the ranger spends 1 of his health. And that's how it's going to go. So we're going to make a roll and see if we can complete this. We need to have 1 success apparently, but we don't know until we would read the card. Okay, here's the roll. And she has a partial success and a failure. So I think what we'll do is we'll have her take the, she'll spend 1 health. That moves her down to her 1 slot. And unfortunately, that will also prohibit her from using her special ability. That is her threshold point. So now we'll reveal the rest of the card and see what happens with that 1 success that we have. And the success part, we'll read that. And it says, in a second gallery, you discover a broken down wagon that still holds its cargo of ore. We gain 1 stone. Okay, that's great. So we're going to add another stone to our supply area. And we have to make sure that we've moved Selena down 1 point on her health track. So we move Selena's health track down 1, and that reaches her threshold point. So as long as her health marker is at that level or lower, she won't be able to use her special ability. And now we'll move on to Ernest's turn, and he's going to start by making his adversity roll. Here's the roll. And he rolled a no move. So we're going to have another one of those cards will be deployed to the board. Roll a die to see where the location will be. And it's in location 2 again. Well, location 2 is already in a perilous condition. So in this case, it says that if the location die is a perilous or secure region, nothing happens. All right. Well, Ernest just happens to be in that location. So I think what he's going to do is he is going to call on the community that will allow him to gain a fire commodity. We'll add that to our total. And then he's going to experience an incident. Now that's automatically going to remove that perilous marker because that will place us at only 3 cards in the area. So after we play that one, there's only 3 there. So we'll resolve this card. It's called a happy event. And the card reads, a happy event. The peaceful atmosphere is suddenly rent by a resounding scream. In a thatched cottage, a bouncing baby lets out a throaty cry. You go to present the parents with official congratulations. And that's going to require us to perform a scholar profession roll. Ernest's profession is traveler, so he won't gain anything from that, but he will gain 1 from the observatory and 1 from the fortress's inert ability. So he'll have 2 dice to roll for the test. And here's the roll. And he has 1 success and 1 failure. All right, let's see what that card's results say. Success. You make a good impression and the parents decide to name the baby after you. And that's great. It gains us 1 on our prestige track. We'll move from 4 to 5. That is great. And now we'll move back to Selena's turn, and she's going to roll her die to see what happens on the track. Here's the roll. And she rolled a 1, so we're going to advance the track 1 space, and then I'll move on to the problem cards. We're going to roll a D8 and find out where the card goes. And it's going to go into region 8. All right. And that problem is listed as crop failure. This year's harvest was disastrous. The specter of famine looms over the community. So we need to spend a plant token to solve that problem. We'll place the card in space 8. And once again, Selena is in space 8, and that just happens to be where the problem is. We'll have to decide if that is a priority for us or if we should be doing something else. Well, I'm a little concerned about this portal. It seems to be like it's something good, but I don't know. I'm a little suspicious of that. But I think for the time being, what we'll do is we'll solve the problem that will help us towards solving one of our assignments. So that'll cost us 1 plant, and she'll spend the plant, and then that'll solve that problem, and we'll add that card towards our assignment card, and then that would be 2 of the 3 that we would need for that 1 assignment. And I think since Selena is there, we're going to have her experience an incident, and the title of that card is going to be A Delicious Aroma. And the card reads, A delicious aroma. 2 hill trolls lick their chops as they roast an impressive piece of meat over a crackling flame. Annoyed by your sudden appearance, they decide to add you to the menu. Okay, we have to perform a profession roll, and that is going to be a soldier profession roll. Now Selena has the profession test a bonus of scholar, so that won't help her. Back at the fortress, we have the barracks, and we have our one inert soldier ability there. So that means we'll be able to roll 2 dice. Now her special ability would have been to re-roll 1 profession dice in each of her tests, but she's reached her threshold, so that we won't be able to use that special ability. She'll have to solve this with just the 2 dice. Okay, we'll make the roll. Okay, and here's the roll. And she has a success. That's great. So we'll see what the success of that is. Success. Oh, we need 2 successes. Okay, is there another one here? 1 success. Okay, 1 success. You avoid becoming the creature's main course and take a souvenir with you as you escape. All right, we get to gain a treasure token. That is great. So Selena has gained a treasure token. We'll add that to our list of tokens, and that'll complete that incident. And now we'll move on to Ernest's turn, and he'll start out with his adversity roll. He rolled a 1. Okay, so that's going to move us to the event draw. And we'll see what that card is. And this is a collapse. Now that symbol indicates that it's a one-time event, and we'll read what it says. A traveling peddler reports that a trade route has collapsed. Place a 1X on the road between the region indicated on the die and the other one of the same corner. This road is definitely closed. Rangers can no longer use it. Okay. All right, we'll roll a die and see which region is affected by the collapse. It's region 5. Okay. Region 5 is right here. So regions 4 and 5 are blocked. And we can't use the road space there. So we're going to place a X marker there. And to solve this, we can spend 1 stone, and that would repair the collapse. So that indicates now we won't be able to move directly from zone 5 to 4 or vice versa. We can still move to the fortress and then to get around it, but that'll be an extra move now. And I think I know what Ernest is going to do. He's going to conduct a move action. It'll move him back to the fortress, and then he's going to conduct a build action. And I think we're going to build a dungeon. It's going to cost us 2 stone, but we're going to gain 3 to our defense. And I think that might help us in the event that this portal ends up to be more than what we believe it to be. So he's going to spend 2 stone. That allows us to flip that dungeon over. And that's built, and that gets us a +3 to our defense. So we're going to move up from 3 up to 6 on our defense. That is great. All right, next up is Selena, and we'll have her make her adversity roll. And she rolls a 1. Okay, so that's going to advance us to the chronicle. All right, we'll turn the card on the chronicle to the next chapter. Oh boy, all right. It's called Little Pranksters. Just as the garrison gets used to the portal's magical presence, the alarm sounds in the middle of the night. A band of tiny imps appear and cause trouble. Place 3 imp tokens on 3 empty construction spaces. You cannot build on a space as long as an imp is there. The imps sow confusion with the fortress. So we're going to lose 1 defense. All right, that's not good. Then it says wealth continues to flow in from the other side of the portal. So we're going to gain 2 resources. And it does allow us a temporary action at the fortress as long as 1 imp is on the board. Capture an imp. We have to make a craftsperson roll. Success would remove 1 imp from the game. All right, so we'll take care of those things that are indicated on the card. All right, we've placed the 3 imp tokens And those are using up 3 construction spaces for us. And it says that the imps sow confusion within the fortress. We're going to lose 1 defense. We're down to 5 now. And then finally it says wealth continues to flow in from the other side. We can gain 2 resources. And I think we're going to gain a plant and a stone. And we'll place those according. All right, now Selena is going to be able to perform 2 different actions. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to start by having her rest. She'll be able to regain that health point, and she gains an extra provision as well. So we'll have her move her health token up 1, and then she's going to gain another provision. And I think her next action is going to be a move action. I'm going to send her back to the fortress, and then maybe she can start dealing with some of these imps. So we'll have her move back to the fortress. Okay, then we'll move on to Ernest. Ernest will begin with his adversity roll. And he rolled a 1 movement. That'll move us up to the incident. It's called a lonely tomb. Now we'll find out where that incident comes out on the board. It's going to come out in region 4. All right. All right, so we're going to place that incident, a lonely tomb, on top of that stack in region 4. Now that has 4 cards, so that is going to go into perilous state, and we'll mark it accordingly. And I think what Ernest is going to do is he's going to build a factory. Now that factory costs us 1 fur and 1 stone. We'd have enough resources to do it. And what that's going to do is give us a bonus die when we test craftsperson. And that will be helpful in trying to get rid of maybe some of those imps. In addition, gives us +1 to our prestige. So we move our prestige up to 6. That's great. So we're going to pay the 2 and then flip that to its built side. All right. His second action, I think, is going to move, and we're going to try to take care of that perilous situation in Zone 4. So we'll have him move to Zone 4. And he can try to take care of that next turn. All right, we'll move on with Selena's turn. And we'll start with Selena's roll for adversity. And the result is a movement of 1. So that's going to move us to a problem card. We'll find out where that problem is going to be coming out. And that is in Zone 7. So we place that problem card in Zone 7. And let's take a look at what the card is. It says, Wake. The village elder, a wise and respected man, kicked the bucket. A representative must attend the funeral and raise a glass in his memory. So we're going to need to spend 1 provision to solve that problem. So we'll place the Wake card in Zone 7, and that is what we have. And I think Ernest is going to start out his turn by trying to deal with that incident, a lonely tomb, and that will at least remove the token on top of that stack. So let's take care of that. Token comes off, and we'll have to read about a lonely tomb. Okay. And the card reads, A lonely tomb. A muscular, middle-aged man kneels before a freshly filled grave. You speak with him and learn that he has just buried his wife and child, both of whom were killed in a bugbear raid. Okay, we are going to have to, now this is different. This type of test here is where we are going to compare the result with our current, in this case, prestige level. Our prestige level is at 6. So we'll just see what happens here. If prestige is equal to 4 or more, eager for revenge, with nothing left to lose, the man joins the fortress garrison. That gets us a plus to our defense. That's great. So our defense goes up to 6 now. And that card is solved. That's great. And I think Ernest's second action is going to be a move action. We'll have him return to the fortress. And that'll end his turn. And we'll move on to Selena's turn, and we'll start with her adversity roll. And she rolled a 1 move of the track. And that's going to be an event. All right. So we will draw the card. I'm going to check that. I think that symbol is an ongoing. I think I might have reversed that. Yeah, I think I misread that card. This is a one-time event that had nothing to do with, I took that symbol as a stone card. It's not. That's just the roll to find out where it happens. So that's a permanent thing that happens. We won't be able to correct that. Okay, here is the event card. And this one is called, this is an ongoing, it says numbing cold. Several cases of severe frostbite are reported among the troops and residents of the fortress. Rangers with 2 health or less at the start of their turn perform their profession tests with 1 less die, 1 die minimum. Okay, this one will continue on now until another card comes over it. All right. All right, now it is Selena's turn, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a temporary action for her, and that's going to be to try to deal with one of those imps. We have to try to capture them by using a craftsperson roll. So let's take a look at our craftsperson. She doesn't gain any from her card, but we have 1 for the factory, 1 for the workshop, and 1 from the inherent fortress. So we'll be able to roll 3 dice for this test. And she does have her persevering ability, which is she can re-roll 1 profession die for each of her tests. That was part of the reason why we wanted to heal her. Okay, we'll make the roll with 3 dice. Let's see what happens. And she's got a total of 3 successes. That is great. And that's going to allow us to remove 1 imp from the board. So that is great. And we definitely have to start concentrating on trying to solve some of our assignments. And I think the easiest one to solve is probably trying to secure 1 region and to solve 3 of those problem cards. We've already got 2 solved, and there's another one here that we could pretty easily solve. So I think what we'll do is I'm going to build a tower. It's going to cost us 1 leaf. Build it in that location, and then when this card is gone, that would secure that region. And that would go towards not only securing the region, but get us eventually one of our assignments. So I think we'll do that. So she's going to spend a leaf, and then we're going to convert that into a watchtower. All right. Next up is Ernest, and he'll start with his adversity die roll. Here's the roll. He rolled a 1, so we're going to advance that to the chronicle. Okay. And we turn it to the next chapter of the chronicle. Oh, that doesn't look good. The scent of sulfur. The alarm sounds again. This time fearsome demon servants have come through the portal. After wounding a handful of guards, they settle near the fortress and appear to be waiting. Place 2 servant tokens on 2 empty tower spaces. If there are not enough empty spaces, do not place the servants. You cannot build a tower on a space as long as a servant is there. All right, well, we'll have to place 2 of those. Okay. And I guess we'll place them on these 2 tower locations down here. Then it says, on the other side of the portal, the veins of resources are starting to dry up. It allows us to gain 1 resource of our choice. All right, it says, continuing on, a temporary action at the fortress as long as at least 1 servant is on the board. Fight a servant, and that's going to be a soldier test. And it takes 2 successes to remove 1 servant from the game. 0 or 1 successes loses a health. So we're going to definitely need to bolster up our soldier's ability. Well, one way to do that would be to build that forge. And that's also a part of one of our assignments that we have to have, and that would give us a bonus to soldier plus 1 to our prestige. So I think what we'll do is attempt to build that forge. So I think the resource that we're able to take, we're going to take a fur because we have plenty of fire. So we'll add a fur, and now we've got problems with these servants tokens. That's definitely has to be addressed. So I think what Ernest is going to do is he's going to start out with a build a building action. So we're going to build the forge. And that's going to cost 1 fur and 1 fire. And then we're able to flip that over. And that's going to give us a bonus to our prestige. It goes up to 7. And then it gives us a +1 to our soldier ability. So that's what we're going to need to probably try to get rid of these servants. So I think the next action, second action for Ernest, is going to be that temporary action on the card where we're fighting a servant. So we're going to have to do a soldier roll, and we need 2 successes to remove one of them. So right now our soldier roll is, we don't get anything from Ernest, but we get 1 for the barracks, and we get 1 for the forge, and we get 1 for the inert value of the fortress. So we'll be rolling 3 dice, and we need to get 2 successes. That's going to be kind of a tall order, but we'll give it a shot. Ernest does have 1 provision, so that would allow him to re-roll any dice that he wishes to on a test. So we're going to make our 3 dice roll, and we're looking for 2 successes, so we'll see what we get. And he ended up with 1 success, 1 partial success, and a failure. So we could solve the problem by simply taking a wound and then converting that to a success. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll move Ernest's health marker down 1. Doesn't reach his fatigue threshold. So that's good. So we'll end up solving that. This would be converted into a success, and that allows us to get rid of one of those servant tokens. And I think we'll get rid of this one here. All right. And that's going to complete Ernest's turn, and we'll move on to Selena. And we'll begin by her adversity roll. And she rolls a stop. Well, we can't do that here. So that means that because of it on chronicle space, we must move it 1 space. So that's going to move it to the incident space. It's called an old wizard. We'll roll a location die to find out where it goes. It's going to be in location 3. So we'll place that card in location 3. We'll place that incident card in location 3, and unfortunately that's going to put that into peril. All right, now Selena can take her 2 actions, and I think she's going to start out by trying to fight one of those servants. Those things have to be up to no good. So we'll see if we can try to at least get rid of the other one. And so we'll start with that, and she's going to end up with a total of 1, 2, 3 combat or 3 soldier profession dice. So we'll get 3 dice out, and we'll see. She's going to need to get 2 successes, though, unfortunately. So we'll make the roll. Okay, here is the roll. And she ends up with only 1 success, and the other 2 are misses. We have no recourse with that, other than her special ability is she can re-roll 1 profession die for each of her tests. So we're going to have her re-roll one of those misses, I guess. See if she can end up getting a hit out of this. Here's the reroll. She did it. She did it. She's got 2 now, and that's going to take care of that other servant. We can get rid of that thing. That's good. All right, now for her second action, I think what she's going to do is I'm going to have her move to region 8. And once there, she'll eventually be able to try to deal with this an intruding barrow. And then if she can do that, that would secure that region because we've built a tower there. Now what she's going to do, she's going to spend 2 of her provisions, and that allows her to undertake a bonus action. And that can be any action, even if it is an action she already took this turn. So she's going to take a separate bonus action by spending 2 provisions. And she's going to deal with that card called an intriguing barrow. All right, let's get a card to cover that up with. And then we'll just see what we got. Okay. It's called an intriguing barrow. You enter the barrow with a torch held aloft. The architecture is unique, and after a quick look around, you notice a strange stone carving. And we have to test craftsperson. She doesn't have that ability, but at the fortress we have 1, 2, 3. It'll allow her to roll 3 dice for the test. Okay, and here's the roll. And she has 2 of those probable successes and 1 failure. So I think what we'll do is, it says she can re-roll 1 profession die for each of her tests. So I'll have her re-roll one of those, and we'll have her re-roll the miss. And that's another one of those, spend a health to get a success. Well, I think she'll do it. She'll spend the 1 health, and that'll turn that into a success, and then we'll read the success portion of that card. And that says, success. You find a secret niche that contains valuable trinkets, finders keepers, and that allows us to gain a treasure token. All right, so we're going to add a treasure token to our supply, and that is great. That's going to end Selena's turn. And now, incidentally, since there are no incident cards in location 8 and we've built a tower there, the area is now secure. So no more incident cards can be placed there for the rest of the game. And that also will help us, that'll go towards helping us solve one of our assignments. All right, we'll move on to Ernest. He's currently at the fortress. All right, Ernest is going to start, and he's going to make his adversity die roll. Here's the roll. And that's a 2 movement. So that's going to advance up to the event phase, and we'll see what event we have here. Torrential rain. The rain refuses to stop, hiding the landscape behind a dark curtain. Rangers with 1 health or less at the start of their turn have only 1 action. All right, well, that won't affect us, at least for the moment. All right, I think what Ernest is going to do, we're going to leave the imps there for right now. And I think he's going to travel to Zone 7. And then he's going to try to handle this problem that's here. If he spends 1 of his provisions, he can handle that wake that is there. That will be added to our task area. And that means that we have solved one of our assignments. One of our assignments is to secure 1 region and to solve 3 problems, and we've done that now. So we can place a solved assignment marker on that slot, and that gives us 1 success now towards the 3 assignments that we've been given. That's good. Next up is Selena, and she is currently in space 8, and she's going to have to roll for her adversity. Here's the die roll. And she rolled a 1 advancement, so that's going to take us to the chronicle. We'll see what happens. Okay, here's the next chronicle. That one says a major problem. The portal is now behaving erratically and ominously. It expands, distorts, and crackles with toxic flashes. A work on demonology found in the observatory points you toward the only plausible explanation. A major demon is trying to cross into your world. All right, there's a temporary action available at the fortress. It says confine the demon to its home dimensions. Number of successes required is 4 plus the number of servants and imps on the board. Each goal you have completed grants 1 additional success to the attempt. All right, as soon as the ranger passes the test, it's victory. If the adversity marker makes it back to the chronicle space before a ranger has confined the demon, it's defeat. All right. So I think Selena is going to head back to the fortress and try to get rid of one of those imps. All right, so Selena's first action will be to move back to the fortress, and her second action will be attempt to capture one of those imps. So that will be, she'll be using a craftsperson roll, and then we have a total of 1, 2, 3 dice she can use. Okay, and here's her roll. And she has a success. All right, so that's enough to get rid of one of those imps. And that's good. So we'll get rid of one of the imps. And that will help. So we need to solve this before the track comes back to the chronicle. We have to be able to confine the demon. We have to make a roll, a scholar roll that will produce 4 successes. Okay, so let's just do a quick check here. For scholar, we have 1, 2 dice. Selena would get 1. That would be 3 dice. So at this point, there's no way to get that. We need to boost up our scholar ability. Okay. All right, next up is Ernest. He's in space 7. So we're going to have him roll for his adversity. Let's see what happens. He rolls a 1, so it's going to advance 1 space. And we're going to place that adversity we're going to place that incident card in space 8. It cannot be placed there because we have secured that area. So that is really good. That was about as lucky as we could get. Okay, now Ernest is going to take his actions. And we need to try to get some bonuses to our scholar die roll ability. So the only way we can do that is we have to try to build the library, I guess. That will require us to have a plant resource. So I think what we'll do is we'll have Ernest move back to the fortress. And I think he's going to heal. So that'll move him back up to his full capacity, and we'll give him a provision. And that's going to end Ernest's turn. Next up is Selena, and we'll have her roll for adversity. And she rolls a movement of 1. That's going to bring us up to our problem area. So we're going to roll a d8 and find out where that's going to be placed. That's in region 4. So we'll place that problem card in region 4. And the problem is Dark Temple. The priestess has run out of oil needed to keep the fires of the communal temple alight. So we have to spend a fire to get rid of that problem. So that's going to go into region 4. That denies us the ability to draw soldiers for the fortress. Okay. Now the problem is if on our next adversity roll, if we end up rolling 2, that's going to bring us up to the chronicle, and as it stands now, we're going to lose. We don't have the ability to, right now, we have to roll 4 successes plus the number of servants or imps, so we need 5. And the most she can roll right now is a total of 3. So that's not good. All right, I think what we're going to have to do then is Selena's going to have to try to get rid of one of those imps, and then she'll move to go and get I think a leaf at a plant in area 3, and then we would be able to technically build that library. And then we need to get 4 successes with, she'd be rolling 4 dice if she can get back. That's really going to be a tough one. So I'll have her try to get rid of that imp. That'll be making a roll using the craftsperson's ability. And she's going to be rolling a total of 1, 2, 3 dice in the attempt. Okay, here is her roll. And she's got 2 successes and a miss, so that's no problem. That'll get rid of that last imp. So that means we're going to need 4 successes to stop that demon coming through. And her second action now is going to be to move to region 3, where she can pick up a plant. That's going to end her turn. We'll move on to Ernest. All right, here's Ernest's adversity roll, and I hope we can roll either a stay or a 1. We did. We rolled a 1. It's going to advance us to the event action, and that one is revealed to be full moon. Tonight is the full moon. All of the wolves in the satrapy raise a howl in unison. Add 1 incident in the region indicated on the die. So we have to roll the location die, and an incident is going to be added there. Okay, that one goes to region 1. So we're going to add an incident card to region 1. And I believe that's going to put that into a peril situation. Yep. It becomes a perilous location. There's 2 of them on the board right now. Now, I forgot about one thing, and that is in the chronicle it says here that the number of successes required is 4 plus the number of servants and imps on the board. Well, we've gotten rid of those. So we need 4 successes. Each goal that we've completed grants us an additional success. So we really need to roll 3 successes in order to defeat this. The problem is it's Ernest's turn, and right now the most dice he can roll is 2. So even if he got 1 free from completing that assignment, he's still short. So we have to try to build that library, I guess. So I think the thing to do is this. We're going to have Ernest will rest. That will gain him a provision. Then he's going to conduct a move action, and he'll go to, I think, space 1. And that allows him to trade any item for any item. And we're going to trade a treasure for a plant. And then Ernest is going to take a bonus action by spending 2 of his provision tokens. That allows him to take any action he chooses. And he'll take the move action again, and we'll move him back to the fortress. Now, he won't be able to attempt that temporary action, because that is a cost of that is you have to pay an action for that. He's out of actions right now. But at least we have the ability now to build that library. So now we're going to move on to Selena's turn, and she's going to have to roll for the adversity. Now, unless she can roll a stay, a dot, we're going to probably lose the game, because that's going to advance the adversity marker to the chronicle, and it says that if we don't complete that by the time the next chronicle happens, we're going to lose. So we'll see what happens. Here's the roll. Oh, no, almost. It almost rolled a stay, but it's 1, so we have to advance that to the chronicle space, and then we'll read what happens to us. Okay, we'll advance the chronicle and see what happens. And we have to read the defeat portion of that. And it says, the ritual is a failure. A black claw rends the fluid wall of the dimensional door. A colossal figure emerges. It sends you into nothingness, accompanied with a profound look. The end. Okay, well, we've lost our first game of Oltree, and I think we'll just do a recap and see what we think of the game. Well, the first thing I noticed about the game is I made one mistake, and that was when we started the setup of the game. On this assignment card, it lists the color of the decks that you're supposed to use. I should have used the green deck. Instead, somehow I've got the blue deck out here. And that would have changed what happens because that would have been different incident cards. So that's unfortunate. But either way, we ended up losing the game. But I really have to say I enjoy the game very much. The artwork on this and the production values of the game are fantastic. The gameplay is fun and exciting, dealing with the different incidents and the different problem cards that come up. And the chronicles are done very well. It's a very interesting way they've written these, at least for this first introductory chronicle. The only downsides that I can see to the game would be once a chronicle is played, there'll be a little less excitement if it was to be replayed in the future. But we do have to remember, though, that we can change the different assignment cards, picking an assignment card that is either more or less difficult, and that would give different assignments for us to have to complete. From what I understand, some of the long chronicles have branching paths as you go through the chronicle, so you might not experience the same text in the chronicle. It has branching effects to it, from what I understand. So all in all, though, I'm very happy with the game. I'm happy I purchased it. The quality of the components is fantastic, and it has that feel of an Antoine game. It's very similar to his game Ghost Stories, a little bit more thematic than that because of the chronicles, but has that kind of feel to it, and I'm really pleased with the game. Well, thanks for joining me for this look at and playthrough of Oltree, and I hope to see you again back soon at the Solo Gamers Club. Thanks, and have a good evening.